What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, live for your fix the microphone Week 14 NFL review reaction, where I rant and I rave about the last week, the latest week in the NFL. This is Week 14 reaction and review, the biggest storylines from this week. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, there is not a ton to talk about this week because one full slate of games was just kind of boring. But there were some really good games and also some things to take away moving forward as well. So we're going to get into all of those topics. At the end of the show, you are going to see my projection, my prediction, my playoff machine predictions for who I think as of right now will be in the playoffs and what that seeding will look like. So before I get started, guys, don't forget to spike that like button and subscribe to the channel for more BLV NFL reviews every Monday night after Monday Night Football. Also, spike that notification bell to be notified when I'm live, like I am right now. Right now, what's going on, guys? Matthew, Singh, Natasha, what's going on, guys? Thanks for joining. Also, you can follow me on social media if you like. You can follow the channel at TheBottomLineView on Instagram, and myself on Twitter at Mitch Milani, Milani. You could also support me if you enjoy what I do here on the channel every week. We've been trying to up the content. We've been going with more NFL betting content, which I think has been well received. So I appreciate you guys tuning in for that stuff. If you enjoy what I do here on the channel, you could support me as a creator on Patreon. Get exclusive content on Patreon, including the BLV vs. Consensus podcast and my bets. When I had a great week again this week betting on the NFL. I had the OBJ over receiving yards tonight. That was very fun to watch. Hit in the first half. So if you guys haven't, make sure to check out Patreon. Link is in the description. Become a patron of the channel. And as I always do every week, I give a shout out to those of you that support me on Patreon. These are the GOATs. The BLV GOATs are the top tier of the Patreon members. You know who you are. I appreciate you. I actually got a jersey from the Hall of Famer himself, Bodo Winter, which I was rocking all weekend long. Appreciate that, Bodo. And also shout out to Connor and the others out there and everybody on Patreon. Recently been good support thanks to the NFL betting. So appreciate all you guys. And I know that hopefully you made some money this week in the NFL. So shout out to everybody that's supporting me over there on Patreon. I'm going to have to figure out some sort of situation where maybe we could do a live stream every week or every month or something like that, where we can have an exclusive chat over there. But let me know in the comments if you are a patron. In the comments, let me know, and I'll definitely get to you and shout you out in the middle of the show, at any point in the show. All right? So let's get first to the overall take of the week. And I think the overall take of this week, and I think the next couple of weeks, is going to be measuring the true contenders of the NFL and figuring out who those teams are at this moment in time. Who is the top of the top, the cream of the crop? Who are those teams in the AFC? Who are those teams in the NFC? I will be doing a video. I know I kind of teased it last week, and I kept it off the table on this show last week. I said, I'm going to do my top 5 Super Bowl contenders. I've written that down because I forgot to do it last week. I'm going to do it probably tomorrow. I'm going to record it tomorrow. I have 5 teams in mind that I believe, truly in my heart of hearts, can actually win the Super Bowl. I'm not going to play around with you. I'm not going to tease you in terms of teams that I think might win, might not win. I'm going to give you the 5 teams, the only 5 teams that can actually win the Super Bowl this year. So that video will likely be out tomorrow, all right? But let's get started with the weekly review, guys. Don't forget to Gronk spike that like button. Let me know in the chat how you're doing, how you're feeling, how your team did this week, how you feel about how your team's doing. What's up, Varnes? How you doing, man? And Matthew with the bolt up. All right. Let's start with Monday Night Football. So we had a Monday Night Football game that was highly anticipated. Arguably the most anticipated Monday Night Football game of the season so far. The Los Angeles Rams traveled to Arizona. Matthew Stafford on prime time versus Kyler Murray. Coming into the game, everybody was high on the Cardinals. Everybody was low on the Rams. I picked the Rams to win the game. I got a little bit scared of that pick. I thought it was going to backfire on me after we heard that there was multiple Rams that had the COVID. Okay, so we had Rob Havenstein, who had COVID, the right tackle. We had Darrell Henderson, the running back. Jalen Ramsey, the star cornerback. And that was really the big one where everyone was like, yo, the Cardinals should easily win this game. And I do wonder how that impacted both of these teams coming in. Just the news today of the psychological effect of knowing that certain players wouldn't be suiting up. How did that impact this game? Because as a team, as athletes, you have to be saying, if you're the Cardinals, you might be lightening up a little bit. You might be like, this is going to be easy work. Light work. We don't have to face Jalen Ramsey anymore. I'm just going to be open all game. That's probably what D-Hop was saying to himself. It's probably what Christian Kirk was saying to himself. And on the other hand, the Rams were probably like, we got to show that we can do this without Jalen Ramsey. And sometimes it has a psychological positive effect on an underdog team that can rally behind the notion that we don't have these players. It doesn't matter. We're going to show you on primetime that we can do this. Now, there is a little bit of a concern for me that the Cardinals have played 2 massive primetime games. The Packers and the Rams. And in both of those primetime huge games where everybody is watching, not just 1 or 2 people, not just a couple. Everybody is watching, okay? Both teams, the Rams and the Packers, were missing star elements to their team. Stars, studs, Devontae Adams, Jalen Ramsey. And those teams beat the Cardinals at nearly full strength. Right? Not exactly 100% full strength. They had some injuries. But as good of full strength as you could get. That is concerning to me. That in the biggest games of the year, when they played the Packers and the Rams at home, they lost both games. That says something about where this team is at. That says something to me about whether I can believe in this team as a contender or as a pretender. And you'll find out whether I think they have a chance to win the Super Bowl tomorrow in that video that I make. But personally, I look at this game and I say, everybody was saying Matthew Stafford can't win in primetime. Matthew Stafford can't win versus winning teams. There's this stat floating around here and there. There's the criticism floating around about Matthew Stafford. Well, he arguably had his best game of the season in this game. He had a few very nice throws. I know he was also really good versus the Bucs, but this game I felt like he had some incredible throws. There was a couple down the field that he made to Cooper Kupp at the end, Van Jefferson on a touchdown. There was a few throws where just special arm talent, that we've been hearing about Matthew Stafford, right? Everybody's been hyping it up. Where has it been the last few weeks? And I said it in the Discord early on. And if you guys aren't already in the Discord, make sure you join the community. Link is in the description. I was saying in the Discord about 5 minutes into the game, Stafford was on. I was like, the Rams are going to win. Stafford is on. Like, he's turned the switch on. He's on. You can tell. He's hitting every throw. The last few weeks you've been watching Stafford, and something just hasn't been right. I don't know what it's been, whether it's been injury or whatever it's been. He just hasn't felt right. He hasn't tangibly, when you watch him, it's not the same guy we saw early in the season. This week, that guy reappeared. We saw him hitting every throw. Outside the numbers, inside the numbers, deep, short. The last few weeks, the game versus the Packers, that guy wasn't available. He wasn't around. He didn't come to the game. And maybe that's a slightly concerning thing if you're the Rams, is that there's a little bit more inconsistency. But that's what Stafford sorta is. I mean, he's not Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers for a reason. The difference between Matthew Stafford and a Tom Brady is the consistency. Sometimes with Stafford, you're going to get incredible performances. Sometimes you're going to get maybe a little bit less accuracy. Maybe he's just off a little bit. And you're going to have more of those inconsistent games, more of those ebbs and flows of his performance. And tonight, we hit really good Stafford tonight. He showed up in a game that everybody said he couldn't show up in. He never shows up in. He never plays well in. He always loses. Well, everybody was hyping up the Cardinals as the best team in football, and, well, they lost. Now, not me, but most other people were saying to me, oh, the Cardinals are the team to beat in the NFC. The Cardinals are the best team in the league. They've got the best record. Well, sometimes when you got the best record, it doesn't mean you're the best team in the league. But besides that, they played a good team, and Stafford beat a good team in a big spot where they needed to win, and he came through. Now, besides Stafford, who played great, Cooper Kupp had another fantastic game and continues to be arguably, the most important wide receiver to his football team in the NFL. Played really, really, really well. There's a number of times where, I was kind of getting Wes Welker vibes with some of the out routes in the red zone. There was one, I think he scored a touchdown on, just a vintage Wes Welker route, which was pretty cool. But yeah, Cooper Kupp's just continuing to play really, really well. He did it down the field tonight. He did it with yards after catch in the screen game. He did it short and intermediate, and especially on third down where he came up clutch continuously. So he was really good. The O-line of the Rams was, I think, better in the run game. I think where I really liked the Rams tonight was they got back to a little bit running the ball with Sony Michel, who I know Darrell Henderson appears to be the more explosive and better runner, but I think Sony gives them a little bit more toughness to their running game. I get that Sony's not the more explosive runner, but I feel like when I watch the Rams with Sony Michel, he provides a little bit more of a power element that I don't think Henderson really has when I watch them. I don't know if it's like an intangible thing, because I think Henderson is the more talented player, but for whatever reason, when Sony is running the ball for the Rams, it just feels like they are given that extra edge to their running game. By the way, the calendar behind me is a Patriots calendar for this year. It has Sony Michel on this month, so I think that's pretty funny, so I had to point that out. But OBJ had a great game. I thought that was his best game as a Ram. Made a few really good catches, key catches in the game. Obviously scored a touchdown in the game. That's the way that you want to see him contribute with this team. And I feel like they're still not really maximizing what he could possibly be in this offense, but every week it's seemingly getting a little bit better with his ability to run those slants, especially if you're going to leave him one-on-one in the red zone, one-on-one inside the 5-yard line, give him that slant to run, he's going to get open and he's going to score a touchdown. But some crossers, some outs, allow him, fit him within the skill set, and he's going to be able to make plays there. So he was a real perfect number 2 complement, exactly what they want to see from him in this game to Cooper Kupp. I think that was really nice. Van Jefferson made some big plays down the field. Honestly, I felt all of the skill players for the Rams played really, really well, on top of Stafford playing really, really well, which made everybody else better. So the offense of the Rams was really good. Defensively, I think there were some positives for the Rams and also some negatives. So obviously they didn't have Jalen Ramsey tonight. So that was a big loss, and we knew they weren't going to be able to just stick Jalen Ramsey or any individual corner on DeAndre Hopkins. But there are a couple issues to me when I watch the Rams defense tonight and what I see consistently. I'm not sure I really love, from a week-to-week basis, their game plans. Like, I think they have some talented players. They've got a really good pass rush. When you allow them to just be in situations where they can get after your quarterback, I said this in the past even when they were losing. With Aaron Donald, with Von Miller, with Leonard Floyd, even Greg Gaines came through tonight. Like, with those four guys, if you're in 3rd and long, you're going to get pressure. Like, those four guys can get pressure and can sack the quarterback and can cause mistakes. And we're constantly getting after Kyler Murray. What I think was absolutely huge for the Rams tonight was the ability to stop the run versus James Conner, limiting to him to really under 3 yards a carry tonight. He was good as a receiver. He had a really good game, but it was more so like the efficiency of his runs were very low, which allowed, 3rd down to be a lot more flexible for the Rams, and that's how they like to play. They also got a lead in the game, which we've been seeing they've been trailing in games where they're not as good because that limits, that puts a lot of pressure on their offensive line. That puts a lot of pressure on their run defense, 2 of their areas of weakness on their team. But when they jumped ahead in the game, they were able to play the style that they wanted to play. And you have a defense that, with that 4-man rush, can be pretty destructive, but I felt like there was a couple areas that I just didn't love a lot. In the red zone, on 3rd down, like, you gotta double DeAndre Hopkins sometimes. Like, I didn't see enough commitment to just stopping DeAndre Hopkins in this game in certain moments. You left him on an island and were lucky to not allow touchdowns one-on-one in the red zone. They lost contain versus Kyler Murray consistently. I think a big reason the Cardinals were able to move the ball in the second half and come back in the game is because they kept allowing Kyler Murray to go on scramble drills. I mean, every play, he's outside the pocket and he's running around and trying to find someone open. You can't do that. You got to contain this guy. I thought early on they were getting good pressure by containing him on the edge and trying to get pressure up the middle. That's how you got to play Kyler Murray. You got to try to get big people in front of his face, blitz them right down the middle, and contain the edges so he can't escape. Because Kyler's a shorter quarterback, and when you're a shorter quarterback, it's actually harder to throw the ball deep down the middle because you can't see. Especially if a guy is right in your face, there's a chance for a tip ball, there's a chance for a strip sack, there's a chance for a batted ball and an interception because of Kyler Murray's height. It's, I'm not making fun of him, it's just a matter of fact, right? When you allow him to get outside, that's where he gets outside the pocket, he can see the whole field, and he can make any throw. That's where teams get in the Dangerville with the Cardinals, is when they allow Kyler Murray to be this scramble drill quarterback. That is where he was most effective. I thought early on, it was a good game plan, and then Kyler started to kind of break that down. And I felt like Kyler didn't have his best game because of the pressure. And I honestly want to say that the Cardinals' offensive attack was a little bit too reliant on just the random big plays down the field. There wasn't enough consistency to it. There wasn't enough consistent, easy completions or any sort of run game. There was just a lot of stuff in this game from a consistency perspective from the offense from the Cardinals that I didn't like or didn't see in the game, that if they would have had a little bit more of a short passing game, I think that would have gone a long way early on. Too much reliance on him trying to make big bombs down the field and things of that nature. So this was an interesting game. I think the Cardinals are a team that, and again, their weakness of their cornerback position was felt tonight. That's an area that I don't think enough teams have been able to take advantage of, that I think the Rams were able to tonight. Also, all the flaws that I thought existed with the Cardinals existed in this game, and I think the Cardinals are a good team. I think the Rams... It's tough to beat a good playoff team twice in 1 year. The Rams were able to play better, execute better, get pressure when they needed to. Stafford made big throws when he needed to. And I thought they had a more consistent running game as well, which was a big factor between the two games of who won and who lost. So ultimately, those are my takeaways from the game. I think the Cardinals, and I've said this most of the year, and I'm not trying to nitpick, and I'm not trying to get after the people that believe in Arizona. I haven't been a big believer in them all year because I haven't seen it versus the best teams. And this is just another proof of evidence that I don't think that they're an elite contender. I think they're a good team. I think they're a playoff team. I just don't know if they have the well-rounded versatility of their roster. I'm not quite sure Kyler Murray is ready for these big games. I just don't know if he's mature enough as a decision maker or a quarterback to be able to win these type of games. When it matters in January, we will find out. But yeah, the Cardinals, I think the question is, like, I think we got to start asking a couple things. Like, are they true contenders? And two, are we going to still count out the Rams to win their own division? Because I think they're only a game behind now. They've split with Arizona. And the Rams, when you look at it, I think have an easier schedule than Arizona does. Right, the Cardinals still got to play the Colts and the Cowboys, which are two difficult matchups for them. The Rams still got to play their kryptonite Kyle Shanahan again, so we'll find out. But that's going to be an interesting race to really catch at the end of this year, because I don't think necessarily it's over quite yet. I think a week ago, 2 weeks ago, the way we were talking about the Rams, we kind of counted them out from winning this division, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. So let's take a look at these comments to see if you guys have commented at all on this game. Kevin says, Belichick knows how to contain a quarterback like Kyler Murray, takes a disciplined pass rush. Yeah, for sure, bro. Like, I tweeted this out early in the game. The teams that are going to stop the Cardinals are the teams that have a rush plan for Kyler Murray. To me, that's the most important part of stopping the Cardinals, is stopping Kyler Murray, because I don't think their scheme is fantastic. I think they do some creative, different things that give defenses problems, but I think most of what they do is they have an absolutely dynamic quarterback and they have some really good skill players. And I think that's really where they get off. But if you're able to correctly rush and contain Kyler Murray, that is half of the battle to me. Like, if you can sort of, and it's harder said than done, but if you can sort of take Kyler Murray's legs away from him, you can make this offense a lot easier to handle, and that's my opinion on it. You know, we saw a guy like Stafford, and I think the difference in this game was Stafford was able to make throws in the pocket under pressure in this game, and Kyler wasn't as much. Right, he missed a couple throws, especially early in the game, that might have been the difference between winning and losing the game. What's up, Ronnie's Crazy Adventures? Ultra says Rams need AZ to lose to both the Cowboys and the Colts and win out. Is that true? They don't. Aren't the Rams have one more loss than them? So they would need 2 more losses. Bruce says Stafford is better when he has time to throw, when the defensive line is not being effective. Well, yeah, any quarterback is, that's for sure. Long, what's up, Long? Ultra says Stafford balled today. Mitch, respect. I think the Packers and Bucks would both be excited to play this offensive line of Arizona come January. The Packers and the Bucks seem like tougher teams. Singh says he picked the Rams. Congratulations. Okay, so the Cardinals have the tiebreaker. Interesting. All right, speaking of Ultra, let's get to the Ultra Power Rankings, a.k.a. the Ultra 10. Ultra's top 10 teams in the NFL that you can find exclusively on the BLV Instagram every single week. What's going on, Phil? Thanks for joining. All right. We've got the Ultra 10 here, ladies and gents. Let's unveil the top 10 teams from Ultra only on Instagram. All right. Let's take a look. At number 10, he's got the Chargers, the LA Super Herberts at number 10. By the way, we're not speaking about the Chargers very much in this show, so I've got to bring it up. That 65-yard throw that he made under pressure down the middle of the field off his back foot was absolutely insanity. That was a ridiculous throw. That was the throw of the week. That was one of the best throws I've seen all season. That was insane. Okay? The Chargers look real good right now. I think Staley has done a good job of turning this team around and making them a little bit more of a complete team. From recent weeks, we've seen them defend the run a little bit better. Obviously, they played a really weak Giants team. They took advantage. They performed, and they took care of business. That's what you like to see. Versus the Bengals, they made more plays, but we're seeing this offense explode a little bit more. But I think with the Chargers, we're going to find out all we need to know about LA versus the Chiefs on Thursday night. Rashawn Slater got the COVID, so I don't know if he'll be available, which would be a huge loss. But if the Chargers could somehow win that game as underdogs over the Chiefs, that'd be absolutely huge for them. So that's a huge game, and I don't think that would move them out of the top 10 if they lose. But if they win, I think we gotta take the Chargers seriously moving forward. At number 9, the Indianapolis Colts. Interesting placement on the list. I think they are, around that top 10 conversation. They've got a massive game on Saturday versus New England in Indianapolis. Off the bye week, they had a bye week this week, so they might have benefited from that a little bit from Ultra's perspective, just because you didn't see them play. But they're a solid team. Well coached, run the football really, really well. Jonathan Taylor, best back in the league. Carson Wentz is making enough plays. As long as you don't put him under duress and force him to beat you, he can be effective. I think where they are in trouble is just when they're forced to pass the ball. When you're able to somewhat slow down Jonathan Taylor or get an early lead, Carson Wentz and the weaponry is the weakness of this team. Defensively, they're very solid. I think they're not fantastic. Their secondary certainly can be a weakness at times, but they're very good at defending the run, and they've got a pretty decent pass rush. They do seem to play better at home. The dome environment helps, but they are a team in the playoffs that I would say is pretty capable of traveling due to their dominance at the line of scrimmage and their running game. So the Colts are at number 9. At number 8, the Cowboys with a good win versus Washington. My only question about the Cowboys is, what's up with Dak? Recently, he hasn't been playing very well. Early in the year, he was getting MVP-type buzz. Now he's nowhere close to that conversation. They have their weapons intact right now. They were only missing Tony Pollard. Their running back situation is a little bit beat up right now, but and I'm more concerned about Tyron Smith getting hurt in that game. The defense is playing really well. I think when they have some of their pass rushers, Gregory, Parsons, Lawrence, they can be a lot to handle up front. Secondary is certainly a weakness at times, but if they can consistently make plays up front, they're fast, they're athletic, Parsons has been an animal, then they can beat most teams in this league, at least compete with them. Next, you've got at number 7, the Titans. I think they're way too high, personally. They would not be in my top 10. I thought they won the game versus Jacksonville. Their defense played well, but it was against the worst offense in the CFL. And quite honestly, beating Urban Meyer 20-0 even is not impressive. I was not impressed by their offense. I just don't think the Titans are a very good team right now. Well, we'll see what happens when they get some of their players back, and I'm mostly speaking about A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry looks to be on the right pace to get back for the playoffs, which is a good note. But yeah, right now, I think a lot of teams can beat them, including a team in the Steelers who they play this week, and we'll find out how that goes. At number 6, the Rams. So we moved the Rams up a little bit after this good win over the Cardinals. I think that's about right. I think that I'd have them about 6-7 area. I think that's about right. The Rams defensively, like I said, when they play the style they want to play, they're a very good football team. And when Stafford is on, they are very good. There's not many teams in this league that can beat them. They need to continue to get back to that balance on offense and defensively. Jalen Ramsey needs to be there in the playoffs. I mean, if this team has to play without Jalen Ramsey against the Bucs or the Packers, it's going to be trouble. But hopefully, back from the COVID and everybody intact on defense, if they can get a consistent pass rush and they can force you to be in those situations, they can be a good defense. At number 5, the Chiefs. I think that's fair. I think I'd have them, honestly, a little bit higher than that, and we'll find out where I have them in my power rankings tomorrow. But the Chiefs are really good. Their defense is awesome right now. They forced 4 forced fumbles and an interception in the game versus the Raiders. They thoroughly dominated that game. Offensively, they're okay. I mean, they're still not back to what they were. I know it's a lot of points, but a lot of it was due to their defense. Offensively, Mahomes only actually threw the ball 24 times. We're going to get to that. Their run game was a little bit better in the game versus the Raiders, but I felt like they took advantage of a Raiders team that's kind of done and toast. And I want to see the Chiefs against a team that's not named the Raiders, because it feels like this year, in the 2 games they've played the Raiders, they've thoroughly dominated them, and versus everybody else, it's been a lot tighter, a lot closer, and a lot different. But the defense is playing really good, and you got to give them credit for that. At number 4, the Cardinals. I think we saw their flaws tonight in a couple areas, defensively at cornerback. If they're not able to sustain a pass rush, it's a little bit of trouble. I think they can be ran on a bit. Offensively, their offensive line was not very good tonight. And when Kyler Murray is kept to the pocket, they can be a little bit limited offensively. Number 3, the Patriots. I think that's probably right. I think they're the best team in the AFC right now. They've got a big game on Saturday versus the Colts. If they can beat another team in the Colts, that's a good team, another top 10 team. I think people got to start to shut up about the Patriots. They're the only top 5 team right now in the NFL that everybody is still doubting, which I guess is just the Patriots and having a rookie quarterback. But when you look at them analytically speaking, they are the best team in the league right now. At number 2, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think you could kind of, depending on your perspective, have the Bucs or the Packers at number 1. It's pretty close to me. I think these are the 2 best quarterbacks in the league. I think the defenses are very similar. They're kind of hit and miss. Sometimes they look really good. Sometimes they look very kind of sloppy. And then offensively, I think the Bucs have a lot more firepower. I think the Bucs offense is a lot more explosive, much better in the passing game, much more diverse. But the Packers do have good balance, very good play calling. Their special teams didn't look so hot versus the Bears, which we'll see if they can fix that. But that's interesting to me. I think that's fair. I think having the Packers, they didn't lose, so remaining at number 1 is totally fair. I can't necessarily disagree with that. So that is Ultra's top 10. Let us know in the comments what you think, and you will find out my top 10 tomorrow on the channel, which will be quite a bit different from this one. I mean, I think most of the same teams will be there, but I think maybe the order will be a little bit different. Okay. Let's answer some comments real quick about some of these teams. Why are the Titans on this list? They're nothing without Henry, says GSP. Win says Henry is coming back. Kevin says everyone doubts the Patriots because of their wide receivers. Kevin says if the Packers are higher than the Bucs because of injuries, Cowboys should be higher than the Titans because of injuries. Were you wrong about the Chiefs, Mitch? No, I don't think so. I mean, I said I just think they're overrated from a being favored to win the Super Bowl perspective. They're currently not even the first team in their conference right now. And definitely I was right about their offense. I mean, maybe I was wrong about the defense because the defense has significantly turned it around, although I didn't foresee some of their additions as Melvin Ingram, things like that I think has helped their team. But I think I've been mostly right. I think I've been more right than wrong about the Kansas City Chiefs, especially the way they started the season. So I think I've been more right than wrong. So that's just my opinion. If they go on to win the Super Bowl, then I could possibly definitely regret saying what I said about them being overrated before the year. But I think the fact of the matter is they have been overrated by people for most of the year. I think that speaks to their record versus the spread. I think that speaks to their current record overall, and I think that speaks to their overall offensive performance. So yes, I still think I've been accurate with that assessment. I still, if I had to lay money on the line, I still wouldn't pick them to win the Super Bowl. I still wouldn't pick them to even get to the Super Bowl. So personally, that's where I'm at with the Chiefs. I think they're a good team. They're a team to take seriously, there's no doubt, but that's what I said all along. They're a playoff team. They're a good team. They're going to be in the mix. I just don't see them being this all-star, amazing Super Bowl team that everyone thought they were. That is personally what I think. You can disagree with me. Let me know some good reasons as to why you disagree instead of just saying you're a hater or you're an idiot or the clown emoji. Anything other than that, I will accept. All right, so let's open this up with the thumbnail and the title. We will get to some more questions a little bit later, guys. So, let's talk about Tom Brady. Tom Brady once again beat the Buffalo Bills. He did it once again, ladies and gents. And I think when you look at this game, Tampa thoroughly dominated the first half. They looked like the Super Bowl champions. They looked like the best team in the NFL. They looked like a team that was going to steamroll anybody in their path, and that is exactly what the Bucs can be at their peak when they're playing disciplined football, when they're executing. And Tampa Bay, we've seen many different flavors of the Bucs over the last 2 years. But this was closer to the team that we saw in the playoffs. This was the team we saw in the first half versus the Packers in the NFC Championship. This was the team we saw versus the Saints in moments in that game, versus Washington in moments in that game, versus the Chiefs, of course, in the Super Bowl. So this is that team, and that definitely gave you those type of vibes where when they are clicking, they are the most unstoppable team. They are the most complete team because defensively, they can cause havoc. They can get pressure. They can cause turnovers. They can make you look inept on that side of the ball in certain aspects. On the offensive side of the ball, they just seemingly, Brady is too good. The offensive line is the best there is. The run game is good enough, right? Fournette broke a long touchdown. Great run by him. Actually, in fact, they're number 2 in efficiency, which is quite shocking. I think a lot of it has to do with the benefits that they get from the passing game. But at the same time, they're a good enough running game where you have to take it serious, and they can power run you to death too. And then offensively, they're so explosive in the passing game. You know, it's not quite. I think a lot of what is different for me for watching, and I always have to kind of reconfigure myself. When I watch Tampa Bay and Tom Brady with the Bucs offensively, the Bucs aren't the Patriots. And what I mean by that is like the Patriots in the past were, when they were rolling as an offense, it was almost like they never had a negative play. It was like more of a death by 1,000 paper cuts type of style outside of maybe a couple seasons. With the Bucs, they're more so like, and this is why they're so difficult to beat, is because they have such a wide margin for error. A lot of times, even when the Bucs are playing really well, like there'll be a lot of bad plays for their offense. Like they'll take a penalty, they'll the ball will get batted at the line of scrimmage. Brady will miss a guy down the field. He'll take a sack. They'll run for -4 yards. Like, there are plays where it just doesn't look pretty, but then like they can easily erase bad plays or good plays that a defense made. I think that's what makes them the most difficult offense to stop. And this is, by the way, without Antonio Brown, who through the first like 8 weeks of the year was their best receiver. But their offense is so explosive that they can kind of fix anything they've done wrong. throughout the course of a game. They can fix it. So it might be 3rd and 17 and they can still pick it up. Like they have so many different ways of striking you from an intermediate to deep perspective. And a lot of their offense is chunk based. Like it's very like 15 yards, 25 yards, 30 yards, touchdown. Like it's not like 7 yards, 5 yards, 2 yards, 6 yards like the Patriots with Brady were. It's more like big plays, big plays, big plays, big plays. And the consistency isn't as much, which frustrates you, but I feel like where they've also grown this season as compared to last year is their consistency has been better in terms of the short passing game. I thought the screen game early on, especially with Chris Godwin, was very good. The running game has gotten a lot better this year. Even just Gronk as a player has just been better entirely. Mike Evans has been healthier too. He had a phenomenal game, I thought, in this game. It's not exciting. It's more so the way they play offense. It's more chunk based. It's not as efficiency based, if that makes sense. Which is why when you look at like Tampa Bay's efficiency metrics, like last year in the playoffs, they won the Super Bowl despite like getting to 3rd down at a ridiculous rate. Like they were just kept converting 3rd down. Like you don't do that in the playoffs. That's what the Bucs were doing in their Super Bowl run last year, especially in that NFC Championship. They have been a lot better on 1st down this year too, because they're a lot more aggressive passing the ball. And a lot of people were saying in my live chat in the 4th quarter, like, oh, Tampa's given up this lead. They've given up this lead. They should have been more conservative. They should be running the ball. And like, I think what you're missing here is it's actually the opposite. Like the reason Tampa Bay was winning 24-7 or 24-3 or whatever it was is because they were passing aggressively on 1st down. They were having very good 1st down play calls, early down play calls. And then for whatever reason in the 3rd and 4th quarter at moments, they kind of got away from what got them there. And they kind of settled for like, our defense has a good handle of this offense, Josh Allen. But the problem is with Josh Allen, and we're going to get to him in a second, Tampa kind of let their foot off the gas pedal. I feel like if they just would have kept their foot on the gas with the same game plan that got them to halftime, they would have easily like ran away with this game. The game would have been like 34-14, by the middle of the 4th quarter. But instead, they kind of ran the ball. They weren't really getting any success on early downs. Sure, they were eating clock a little bit more than they would have, but it was like, it wasn't really effective. I thought the Bills made some good adjustments defensively. They're a good team, but the Bills have a quarterback named Josh Allen, and there's only so many quarterbacks in the league that can kind of just like in the second half be like, I'm going to drop back every play, and whether I'm running or I'm throwing, like I'm going to come back. Like there's like 3 guys in the NFL that could do that to the Bucs. So I think if you're overreacting to like Tampa Bay giving up a lead, I mean, that took Josh Allen's best performance of the season to get the game to overtime, right? And the Bucs and the Bills played their asses off, a very desperate team to get the game to overtime. So overall, I was very impressed by Tampa Bay's first half. Their game plan defensively, I don't think has been spoken enough about, and I think it was really impressive, but it also was very disrespectful to the Bills. Like, they just kept blitzing Josh Allen, like, constantly. They were like, okay, if you're going to hand this off and go for 15 yards on a draw, like, go ahead. But we're just going to blitz you from the left, blitz you from the right, blitz you from the middle. Like, we're not playing the run at all. We're just going to get after your quarterback. And they were creating a lot of fits for Josh Allen, and he admitted himself that he was getting confused because of it. And that's what got them that big lead. And then in the second half, the Bills adjusted, right? They were pulling linemen and they had the right runs, the right answers for those blitzes. Todd Bowles kind of got caught a few times running those same blitzes and it kept attacking. And it stopped working because the Bills coaching staff, they're smart. Josh Allen's a really good player. They started executing and finding the right solutions, whether that was quick passes, whether that was block and release to Dawson Knox, whether that was Cole Beasley one-on-one on a slant, whether that was quarterback power. Like, they were just finding the right answers to those blitzes. And Todd Bowles kind of never really adjusted to that until the end, where in overtime they got off the field, right? So, but yeah, I just think there was a couple things where the Bills defense never really slowed down Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay slowed down Tampa Bay. Like, Brady missed a few throws here and there. He wasn't as sharp in the second half. They were running it more than I would have liked to have seen in the third quarter instead of continuing to play the way they were playing. But there were a lot of factors to that comeback, but a lot of things to be learned as well. I think people got to slow their roll a little bit on the Bills. I had my fun last week, making fun of the Bills, making fun of the crybaby Sean McDermott, making fun of Bills Mafia. That was all good and fun. I think the Patriots are the better team. They kicked their ass, all that stuff. That was fun. But the Bills are still a good team. Like, let's not forget the Bills are still a good team. Do I think they're going to win the Super Bowl, get to the Super Bowl? Do I think they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender? No, because I think they have certain flaws that are going to keep them from getting where they want to be. But Josh Allen is as legit as it gets. Stephon Diggs is as good as it gets. Like, their offense is still really explosive. They're one of those few teams that can come back. And their defense is still a top 5 unit, even without Tre'Davious White. And the Bucs seemingly kind of ripped them apart. I think they had over 100 more yards than any other opponent did all year. So that was a really entertaining game to watch. I thought the Bills deserve a lot of respect for how they kept themselves in it. They played with a lot of heart. They played well at the end of the game, enough to force it to overtime. But ultimately, this wasn't a situation where the Bucs got the ball first in overtime. Like, the better team won. The team that was leading at halftime by a bunch, still won the game because, sure, the Bills tied it up, but the Bucs proved they were the better team by giving the ball to the Bills in overtime, stopping them, getting the ball at their own 9-yard line or whatever, and then driving down the field and scoring a touchdown. So ultimately, the right team won the game. But yeah, it was a really entertaining game to watch. Josh Allen played his best game of the year, in my opinion, played his ass off. And I thought Tom Brady kind of secured an MVP with that win. Played really well for most of the game. Has a couple throws he would have liked to have back, but when it mattered, he was Tom Brady, right? Made the throws. He looked as agile as I've seen him look in quite some time. He was running. I think he had his most rushing yards that he's had in 10 years. So he looked really good from that perspective. I have a couple of things just in terms of graphics and things that I do want to show, or a couple tweets. So this is the Bucs, right? This is what an example of the margin for error that I think makes the Bucs such a difficult out in the playoffs. So I've been talking about this all year. Since week 1, we had similar stats coming out about the Bucs. Like, when they beat the Cowboys, there was like a ridiculous stat. Okay, so this one we've got, right? So Greg Auman, who's a very good Bucs reporter, says since Tom Brady came into the league in 2000, NFL teams were outscored in the second half by 21 or more points 252 times and managed to still win just 3 times before the Bucs did so today versus the Bills. So that worked out to a 1.2% win rate. I mean, like, this team just continues to defy odds, like defy stats, defy logic, make no sense at all. They keep putting these stats up. Like, I tweeted about this stat. I quote tweeted it. I was like, crazy Bucs stat 14. Like, every week a stat about the Bucs comes out that makes absolutely no sense about how they won. Like, it's just ridiculous. I don't know how this team continues to do it, and that's what it is. It's the margin for error within this team. Next, you've got another thing, and I know a lot of people were bringing this up, including a lot of podcasts that I listen to, and they were saying that the refs kind of cost the Bills this game. I disagree with you guys, whoever is saying that. There was a couple plays in the game where, sure, it was like a 50-50, could have called it, could have not called it. A couple of them specifically on Stephon Diggs. There was one where a lot of people are showing the picture of Carlton Davis tugging the jersey. At the same time, though, Stephon Diggs is pushing off. Here's the thing about that, though. And the one on the third down on the fade route down the left sideline was definitely not a penalty. I don't understand that one. I could understand the hold. That could have and should have been a penalty. The one in the red zone definitely was not on a penalty on Carlton Davis. So this is the thing about that. So everybody on Twitter is talking about how Brady gets favored by the refs, despite the fact that the Bucs are literally 31st in the NFL in net penalty yards. So I don't really understand where this logic or this narrative comes from. So as a Brady fan myself and as a Bucs fan, I've got to bring this up because, bro, this argument makes no sense. There's no conspiracy here. The Bucs have been called for more penalties than literally anybody. So I don't know what you're talking about. Put that away. Use it for another team that you dislike because this one makes no sense. I just had to throw that out there. All right. Also, lastly about that game, I do want to say Carlton Davis is an excellent football player. I don't think he gets enough respect. He is one of the 10 best corners in the NFL, and nobody really even knows who he is. Like, the casual NFL fan probably could name 20 corners before they name Carlton Davis. That guy is really good and really important to Tampa Bay. He is the most important, crucial piece to that team. I don't think anybody really realizes that, but I'm here to tell you, because I'm here to give you the correct information. That guy is really good. There was times where they were all out blitzing. He was one-on-one on an island with Stephon Diggs. I could name 5 corners that NFL teams actually do that with. Like, there are not that many cornerbacks that teams actually trust to be one-on-one with Stephon Diggs in man coverage, sending the house. Like, I don't know many teams. I don't know many corners. So Carlton Davis is really good and I think deserves more respect. All right, next up. We do have to talk about this. The Bills missing the playoffs. So a lot of people are talking about now that they've lost to New England and Tampa back-to-back, will the Bills actually miss the playoffs? And we will find out whether I have the Bills in the playoffs due to my playoff machine at the end of this video and at the end of this rant. But I think most likely the team will end up with a 10-7 record. Most likely. And I think in order to get in the playoffs in the AFC, you need to have double-digit wins this year. I don't know if 9 is going to be good enough unless you're in the AFC North and win your division with 9 games. That might be available. But as a wildcard team this year, I think you might need 10 wins. I think Buffalo is good enough and belongs in the playoffs. The question is, though, will they make it? I'm not sure. We'll find out at the end. Next topic. Okay. So I want to rant a little bit about the Raiders, more specifically, but the Discord wanted me to discuss the Raiders and the Chiefs game. So I've got here, is this good Chiefs or bad Raiders? And I'm going to say this. The Chiefs will be defined by me by the upcoming stretch run that they have. They have, I would say, really no easy games for the rest of the regular season. And depending on that performance going into the playoffs, that is how I will define them and how I see them in the playoffs. Them beating the Raiders to me is not impressive. Okay, we already saw that happen. It is impressive that they covered. I will say that much. But them beating the Raiders, I think 99 out of 100 people picked that. Okay, maybe even more. 199 out of 200 people picked that. So the Chiefs will be defined starting Thursday. If they come out, they shellac the Chargers, I think that's impressive, right? Shellacking the Raiders is not super impressive. Now, I will say this. The Kansas City defense continues to win them games. 4 fumbles and an interception, 4 sacks on Derek Carr. That is phenomenal defense. There are not many defenses in the NFL that are playing better than the Chiefs. The question is, Will they be able to get that performance out of their defense when they need it in January? I don't know if they're as reliable of a defense as some of the other units in the league, but just the ability to have a good defense that you can rely on that makes plays in January in this NFL in 2021 is a big deal. But the bigger thing is the offense needs to be better still. I still need to see better. And that's coming off a game where Mahomes was 20 for 24. But, I mean, he didn't have a 300 yards. Like, he's been kind of crappy against everyone not named the Raiders. But this is more to me about the Raiders. I want to talk a little bit about the Raiders because they have a dilemma moving forward. Who's their new coach going to be? They've got to get a whole new GM, a whole new coach. They've got to figure out, get back to the Raider way. Get back to the Raider way. They need to find a new identity. They need to have a new culture entirely. This team's got to scrap a lot of things. Their offensive line is dreadful. Like, Lenny keeps posting this stat in the Discord that they're like the worst run blocking line in NFL history. It's pretty bad. Their tackles are really bad. They've got no running game. They've got no speed on offense without Henry Ruggs. The defense, bro, the defense. Gus Bradley, an absolute clown. I don't understand this. He plays the same defense with no adjustments versus the Chiefs, and they continuously just shred him every single time. They got to get rid of him too. I think he's a solid coach at fundamentals. He can get you to a certain level, but they need more diversity in their defense. They're not going to win in the modern NFL playing the same defense constantly over and over and over and over again. Like, it's a clown show out there to me. You can't have this guy continuously playing cover 3, cover 3, cover 3, cover 3. So the Raiders, do they trade Derek Carr? That's a question. Do they trade Derek Carr? Do they keep Derek Carr? What's the answer at quarterback moving forward? I really like Derek Carr, but at a certain point, you might have to scrap it. You might have to start over. You might have to look to reinvent yourself in some sort of way, shape, or form. Now, personally, I think in the offseason, they've got to look to a new head coach. They've got to look to a guy that's going to build a culture. They've got to reestablish themselves. I think you could keep Derek Carr around, but you need to surround him with a better offensive line. You need to get some speed on offense. And defensively, you got to get rid of Gus Bradley. Guy's terrible. So the Raiders, it's sad, man, because they're record-wise, they're kind of average, but there's so many issues that need to be solved in the offseason due to the whole John Gruden fiasco. But this could be a blessing in disguise. If they can find a coach who can build a culture there, that could be the way to go. We'll see who they look to. But this all really comes down to Davis. I mean, he's in charge, so he's certainly not his dad. We'll find out what he's made of because he's making the decisions. Next up, we got Chase Clownpool. I just want to say this real quick. I know it's been a while since Thursday, but Chase Clownpool, bro, you make me absolutely disgusted to be Canadian. I was sitting there watching this game saying, what in the blue hell is Chase Claypool doing? He is pointing first down with 35 seconds left or something in that range left in the game, no timeouts, knowing the situation. And here's the issue. I don't want to completely tear apart Chase Clownpool, but here's the problem, okay? Chase Claypool literally represents, literally and figuratively, represents what the Steelers are right now as a football team. He represents it. The details, the situational awareness, the accountability. Chase Claypool represents the Steelers. Athletes with no plan. He represents what Mike Tomlin is doing with this team. I've got to say something, and I know a lot of people love Mike Tomlin. I have kind of always felt this way, and if you're a longtime fan of the channel, you would know this, but Mike Tomlin, bro, you had the absolute worst game plan on defense I have ever seen in my 20 years as a football fan. That first half game plan by the Steelers defense made me throw up repeatedly in my mouth. They were allowing just easy 20-yard runs. Bro, you know it's bad when I'm calling the Vikings plays out loud. I'm watching this game between the Steelers and the Vikings. And my dad could tell you this. I'm watching this game with my dad. I am calling when the Vikings are going to run the ball. And they go for 20, 25 yards. I'm watching the Steelers offense and I literally call the route that Ben Roethlisberger is going to throw on the play. That is bad, okay? First off, you're playing the fucking Vikings, all right? The Vikings are going to run the ball 1 out of 3 times at least on every series of downs. It's the Minnesota Vikings with Mike Zimmer. They are the most predictable offense there is. It's Kirk Cousins throwing to Justin Jefferson or handing the ball off to Dalvin Cook. Just watch the Vikings. Watch the Vikings. If they haven't ran the ball in 2 plays, they're going to run the ball. You've got to anticipate it. You can't just be sending all these crazy blitzes. There was one play in the first half where the Steelers had like 4 people on the right side of the line and literally 2 people on the left, and the Vikings just ran like a quick run up the middle from shotgun, inside zone, and Cook was gone. Nobody was even in the screen for 30 yards. I'm like, they're going to run the ball. You're playing the Vikings. And then every single time Cousins drops back to pass, he's throwing to Justin Jefferson. Why are 2 human beings not covering Justin Jefferson? Why is only 1 person with your trash-ass cornerbacks on Justin Jefferson? It's an absolute clown show. You got undisciplined clown pool not taking accountability after the game for being a jackass. You've got a coach with a terrible game plan. Mike Tomlin, I'm going to say this. I know a lot of people love Mike Tomlin. Overrated coach. Why is he overrated? I think he has gotten way too much credit for having really good rosters for his whole career and having a Hall of Fame quarterback that honestly is underrated from a career perspective in Ben Roethlisberger. I'd like to see how good Mike Tomlin would be if he didn't always have all-star defensive players and Ben fucking Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown. I mean, are you kidding me? This guy is overrated. The first half of the Steelers' game plan versus the Vikings lost them the game. It was dreadful. Every 3rd down and long is a fade down the right sideline to Chase Claypool. We've got just little shallow cross to Deontay Johnson. It's 2 passes the whole game from Matt Canada's ass. Bro, Matt Canada and Chase Claypool, I don't know who is giving Canada a worse name here, a worse reputation. Matt Canada or Chase Claypool. They're both idiots. They both are idiots. I can't hear any more of the Steelers. The Steelers drive me insane. They should have won that game versus the Vikings. Ben played his ass off. I thought a lot of people are going to get all over Ben this year, as they should. He stinks. But he played his ass off. If the Steelers didn't come out with the worst game plan on defense I've seen all season, they win the game. You know you're playing the Vikings without Adam Thielen. And you don't try to stop the run. You let them run the ball. And then you let Justin Jefferson have one-on-ones for the whole fucking half. Like, what are you doing? He's the best receiver in the NFL. Are you that stupid? Come on, man. You're killing me out here. Killing me. Next. And this leads me into my next point. The AFC North is the worst AFC North I have seen in years. This AFC North, they don't deserve to have a playoff team this year. I like the Bangles. The Bengals are too immature. The Bengals have not beat a good team seemingly all year long. The Bengals choke again versus the 49ers. The Browns are a disaster. The Browns played the Ravens practice squad and won by 2 points. And they almost lost. They let fucking, what's his name? The backup for the Ravens. Huntley. This guy, he's a gamer. He comes out, he plays hard. Credit him. He's terrible. The Browns let them come back. If it wasn't for Myles Garrett being a god, stripping Lamar Jackson or whoever was it Huntley at that point? I don't remember. Stripping the quarterback, getting the ball and running in the end zone. Here's my problem, bro. Huntley. Here's my problem with the Ravens, not the Vikings. There's problems with the Vikings, don't get me wrong. The Ravens, how do you lose the game? Coaching drives me insane in this league. I heard Colin Cowherd say today that there's great coaching in this league, and I almost threw up. The Ravens, bro. I love John Harbaugh. How do you lose the game versus the Browns? They can't pass the fucking ball. They can't run either. Their offense sucks. They suck. They're terrible. Your offensive line, you're leaving whatever his name is, Villanueva, on an island versus Myles Garrett. Are you stupid? You've got your backup quarterback in the game. Are you stupid? Who's in charge of this offense? Why are you allowing Myles Garrett to be one-on-one with turnstile Villanueva? Are you serious? You lost the game because this is the exact equivalent. Nobody ever talks about this. This is actually the reason the Packers lost in the NFC Championship, because Matt LaFleur was such a jackass that he didn't ever chip or block anybody extra on Shaq Barrett or JPP. Okay, this is the same thing. You've got to double team the best player in the game. Myles Garrett is the best player in the game. He's the best defensive end in the NFL. And you're just going to let him be one-on-one with this bum all game long. Are you serious? Eventually, he's going to ruin the game. How do you lose the game? You lose the game by letting Myles Garrett get to your quarterback. That's how you lose the game. Are you serious? What are you doing? So the Ravens, they've got 25% of their cap on IR. Their quarterback position, Lamar's hurt. They've got 100-year-old running backs. Rashad Bateman finally showed a pulse in this game. The defense stinks. They just happened to play Baker, the commercial maker. Which, by the way, I didn't talk about this. Are you guys that thought that Odell sucked? Are you guys okay? Because Baker was the problem the whole time. The guy is terrible. Terrible. He's awful. And now the Browns can't even run the ball. I mean, my God, this division's terrible. Then you've got the Browns, and then you've got the Steelers. I've talked about the Steelers. Don't even get me started. You got overrated Mike Tomlin. You've got the dinosaur Big Ben. You've got Chase Clownpool. The whole team is TJ Watt and Cam Hayward. That's the whole team. The rest of the team sucks. Najee Harris runs for -2 yards a carry. This division is terrible. They don't deserve a playoff spot. They don't. I don't know how the Browns possibly allowed the Ravens to hang in that game. It's disgusting. How? The Browns are that bad that they couldn't cover 2.5 when Lamar Jackson got hurt in the second quarter? Are you kidding me? God. This is terrible. I don't even know what else to say. This division's terrible. Next. All right, we got to talk about Ultras Falcons. I don't know if he's still in the chat. But the best, worst team in NFL history is the Atlanta Falcons. Guys, I would seriously question you to name 5 Atlanta Falcons right now in the chat. Name 5 Atlanta Falcons right now in the chat. The Atlanta Falcons are the best, worst team I've ever seen in my life. They are terrible. Somehow they're 6-7. I don't understand how this works. Their roster is so bad, like dreadful. Name 5 Atlanta Falcons. If you guys could name one defensive back on the Falcons, I will give you a round of applause. The Atlanta Falcons, Jeremy maxed out at 4. He got Mike Davis. He's naming all the offense. If you guys can name 4 defensive players on the Atlanta Falcons, I will rename my channel your name. If you can name 4 Atlanta Falcons on defense. This team is so terrible. Look at this. Guys, the Atlanta Falcons are 6-7. Look at their games. The first game of the year, they lost 32-6 to the Philadelphia Eagles. They lost 48-25 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They lost 34-30 to the football team. They beat the Jets by 7. They beat the Giants by 3. They lost to the Panthers. They lost by 40 to the Cowboys. They got shut out by the Patriots. They beat the Jags by 7. Guys, they beat the Jags by 7 points. The Jags, Urban Meyer, by 7. They allowed 14 points to the CFL offense of the Jacksonville Jaguars. They lost again to the Bucs by 14. And now they beat the Panthers with 15 quarterbacks. Look at their stats. The Atlanta Falcons are the worst team, according to DVOA, in the NFL. The worst team, according to DVOA, in the NFL. And they are 6-7. How does that even work? Their point differential, I think, is worse than the Lions. Guys, how is this possible? Look at this. Point differential. I'm looking it up on my phone right now. Bro. The point differential of the Atlanta Falcons is minus 108. Guys, the Atlanta Falcons point differential is minus 108, and they are almost 500. What? They're number 32 in DVOA. They're minus 108 in point differential. Just for reference, a minus 108 point differential is 31 points worse than the Raiders, 30 points worse than the Giants, okay? 73 points worse than the Carolina Panthers. Their point differential is closer to the Jags than the Steelers. They're 6-7. How does that even make sense? How does that even make sense? All right. Enough of the Ultra Falcons. Next, the Niners and the Bangles. So I thought this was a really entertaining game that I feel like not enough people saw because of the Bucs versus the Bills. And that's perfectly fair, perfectly understandable. I've got to say something. I don't think enough people know this. I am firmly in the corner that George Kittle is not just the best tight end in the league. George Kittle is by far the best tight end in the league. I don't want to hear anything else. I don't want to hear it. He's the most complete. He's got great hands, great yak ability, good route running ability, blocks. He's a beast. He's unstoppable, bro. And he doesn't have Tyreek Hill taking the safety deep every play. He's the best tight end in the league. Stop with this Travis Kelce garbage. Kittle is the best tight end in the league. This guy, guys, Kittle in fantasy. Look at this shit real quick. Kittle, the last 2 weeks, has 39 fantasy points and 34 fantasy points. Last week, he had 9 catches for 181 yards and 2 touchdowns. And this week, he had 151 yards on 13 catches and a touchdown. That is ludicrous. And then you've got Deebo Samuel, who's a running back. And then you've got Brandon Ayuk with the game winner. And I think we've got to talk about something. Is Trey Lance really going to be the future for the 49ers? I got to bring it up. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't think is anything phenomenal, but I'm a little bit concerned at this point. Jimmy Garoppolo is good enough to the point where, like, you can win with him, obviously, but, like, is Trey Lance really going to be anything in this future? I'm seriously starting to question it. Because I continuously see 49ers fans want to see Trey Lance. The fact of the matter is, Jimmy G is better than Trey Lance, and it's not even particularly close. There is a reason Trey Lance is on the fucking bench. Because he's not very good. He's just not very good. Jimmy Garoppolo is pretty good. He deserves respect. He's not great. He certainly has his flaws. But he's pretty good. And he's definitely the right option for this team. And I don't think he gets enough credit. He doesn't get enough credit. I love Kyle Shanahan. I love Deebo Samuel. I love George Kittle. Jimmy Garoppolo is a big piece to why this team is still winning games this year. And I think, everyone is kind of going to bypass this because everybody knows in some way, shape, or form that Trey Lance is going to be the future of this team, and I think he's going to be the future at quarterback. I don't know if he's ever going to be any good, but Jimmy Garoppolo because of that is suffering. And I saw Kyle Shanahan say this about that. So, this is what Kyle said after the game, I believe. He said, Jimmy's one of my favorite people that I've ever coached. He's a hell of a dude. He's not trying to hide anything. I also don't want to downplay it and say this whole situation is just not a big deal. It's a huge deal. Really hard on him, but he came in with the right mindset all the way back in OTAs. He hasn't gotten sideways at all through any of it. No matter what he hears, he's been the exact same guy I've known for 4 years prior, and that's given us a chance to fight through this year. It's given us a chance to be where we are right now. So, reading that, I mean, I seriously got to question why they drafted a quarterback. I get that Jimmy Garoppolo isn't like an elite option. And sure, the system probably makes him look better than he is. But did you need to trade all these picks for Trey Lance? If you knew you were going to be a good team, did you need to trade all these picks for Trey Lance? I don't know. I don't even know. Like, Trey Lance, I think we've got a Trey Lance problem. I think what I'm trying to get at, I think we've got a Trey Lance problem. Because honestly, I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a better quarterback than Trey Lance. And you can quote me on this. You can clip this. Whatever you got to do. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a better quarterback than Trey Lance next year. I do. I think that there is quite possibly a situation where Jimmy Garoppolo goes elsewhere and outplays Trey Lance, who's playing on the 49ers. And obviously, Trey Lance is going to look better than he is in Kyle Shanahan's system as well. But I think we've got to question it a little bit. Obviously, this team, if they were going to draft a quarterback, should have taken Mac Jones. But every team should have taken Mac Jones, in my personal opinion. But I will say, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I think Jimmy G deserves more credit. It's nice to see that his coach gave him a bit of credit here. And that was a really good game. Another guy that I want to give credit to is Joe Burrow. I thought Joe Burrow, that's not the right one. That's not the right one either. I thought Joe Burrow played really well in the game, especially, near the end. And I think the Bengals, there's a couple areas. I think the Bengals can be really good next year. I like Zach Taylor. I don't love Zach Taylor. I think if the Bengals had a better culture, I mean, man, if the Bengals had Josh McDaniels, this team would be really good. Like, I honestly think if Josh McDaniels was the head coach of the Bengals, this team would be really freaking good. Like, if they had a coach with that ability of details and play calling and grow a quarterback, obviously they've got issues on the offensive line. I don't think their defense, they definitely need to upgrade on their defense a little bit. But, like, they have a huge opportunity to win this division this year. They just haven't been able to beat those teams. At the end of the day, I think some of it has come down to the details. Some of it has come down to certain game plans and certain approaches taken by Zach Taylor. There's been a couple games, including this one, where I felt like they could have easily won it if they took the right approach. I think people who are being critical of Zach Taylor in this game specifically are very accurate, because you look at the 49ers defense, and I thought the Bengals would be able to win this game because I thought they were going to attack the weakness, right? I thought they were going to be able to attack the 49ers secondary. I thought they were going to be able to attack a weak cornerback group of the 49ers. They simply didn't choose to do that till it was too late. If they did that from the start, if they did that in crucial situations, they might have won this game. I got to give Joe Burrow a ton of credit, though. He made some incredible plays in this game, including that one where he span around, he bought time, and he found Jamar Chase in the end zone. That was really wicked to me. But I think to take the next step for the Bengals, they need to find a new head coach, in my opinion, and they need to continue to build that offensive line. And then I think Joe Burrow and the pieces on this offense can take them where they want to go, because I think they've got some really good aspects to this team that I really like. And they've got some young playmakers that I really like. But I think this team in the future could be good. I just think they're kind of missing the opportunity that's right in front of their face right now, because they're a young team and they're somewhat not the best coached in certain areas, in my opinion. Next, The Patriots didn't play this week, but would it be the bottom line view without me talking about the New England Patriots, aka the number 1 seed in the AFC, aka your worst nightmare, aka the future of the NFL? I gotta say something real quick. The Patriots are underdogs on Saturday versus the Indianapolis Colts. Excuse my French. How the fuck are the New England Patriots underdogs against the Indianapolis Colts? Someone please explain to me who in Vegas is watching football right now and said, you know what would be a good idea? Let's make the Patriots underdogs versus the Indianapolis Colts. Could the Colts beat the Patriots? Sure. But what in your right mind makes them deserving of being favorites over the Patriots? What stat are you looking at? What metric are you looking at? What performance? What eyes are you using? What lens in your glasses are you using to determine that the Colts should be favored over the Patriots? What type of garbage is this? Now, I love it. The Patriots are underdogs. But I'm going to continue to say it. The Patriots are going to go to the Super Bowl. And quite honestly, I think they might win it. I'm just going to say that right now. I think they might win it. I'm not scared of no team right now. The Patriots are underdogs. Everybody thinks they're overrated. Everybody thinks they're not as good as their record. Whatever, bro. Currently, at this moment in time, there is nobody, not a single team that is playing better than New England. How in the fuck are the Colts, who have 2 less wins than the Patriots, who the Patriots have whooped their candy ass for like 8 years straight, the Colts have not beat the Patriots since 2009. They have not beat the Patriots since 2009. How are the Colts favored over the Patriots? Like, sure, would I be surprised if the Colts beat the Patriots? No, but that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. How? How? What makes you say that they should be favored? The Patriots got the best defense in the league. The Patriots are the number 1 team in DVOA. The Patriots, according to PFF, are the only team in the top 3 in offense and defense, according to their grades. They've got the better quarterback. They've got the better coach. They're really the only thing the Colts have that is better is a running back. Who cares? What is so good about the Colts that makes them a favorite over the best team in the AFC? Please explain. If the Patriots and the Chiefs changed their names, the Patriots would be the favorite to win the Super Bowl. If we just switched names, like if Mac Jones switched names with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs switched names with the Patriots would be favored. Bro, this is garbage. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful. Carson Wentz is favored over Bill Belichick. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? If they win, good for them. But you don't deserve to be favored. This is an entirely different subject. How? Continue to underrate the Patriots all you want. They're just going to keep winning. They're going to keep doing their thing. And I'm going to keep coming on here and keep saying that they're good. And I'm going to keep saying that they're going to go far. And you're going to keep not believing me. And it's perfectly fine. But right now, if the playoffs started tomorrow, I would pick the Patriots. I would pick that. This isn't just me being a fan, guys. I am being honest. I think the Patriots can win the Super Bowl this year. I really can. I really do think they can win the Super Bowl this year. I think they're going to beat the Colts. I think they're going to beat the Bills these next 2 games. I do. Maybe you could call me delusional. You could call me whatever you want. You could call me biased. I think the Patriots can win the Super Bowl. I don't care if they play Brady. I don't care if they play Rodgers. I don't care if they play whoever. Bring Joe Montana out of retirement. We'll whoop his ass too. The Patriots are going all the way. They don't deserve to be underdogs right now to anybody. Not one team. Look at the results over the last 8 weeks. Look at the results. Tell me who's playing better. Coach thinks the Bills are going to the bowl. The Bills are going to get their absolute faces smashed in 2 weeks. They're not even going to score 20 points. You might as well just not even show up. Patriots going and beating them again. See, people saying I'm just being a fan. See, this is why I can't talk about the Patriots. It's why I can't talk about Brady. Because every time I say something, you think I'm biased. I'm just speaking my mind. Everybody said I was an idiot last March when I picked the Bucs to win the Super Bowl. And now I'm saying the Patriots are going to go to the Super Bowl and everyone's going to say I'm an idiot. That's not the case. They're going to go to the Super Bowl. There's no team better in the AFC. Line them up. Patriots are going to knock them all down. I'm just telling you now. I'm warning you. You might as well bet on it right now. I'm telling you. They don't deserve to be underdogs. They don't. It makes no sense. It's garbage. I'm done with it. It's so disrespectful. And this is why, as a Patriots fan this year, I got an edge. I got that chip on my shoulder. It's a big-ass chip right here. Because every single time the team is going to play New England, people are going to pick the other team, and New England's going to beat their ass. And then the day later, they're going to say, oh, they're not that good. They won because of the snow. They won because of the wind. They won because I don't know, special teams. They won because refs. Whatever. Whatever, bro. Whatever you got to say. Whatever you got to say. Who cares? Can we beat the Chiefs? Hell yeah. We beat the Chiefs every time we play them. Line them up, knock them down. When's the last time we played the Chiefs in the playoffs? Whoop their ass too. The Chiefs aren't beating the Patriots. I'll tell you that right now. They're not beating the Patriots. Not the way their offense is right now. Not the way they got to get an offense before they can beat the Patriots. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. All right. Let's take a look at my playoff machine. All right, this is the NFC. Okay, the NFC. This is the way I see it. So I went to the ESPN playoff machine. I entered all my results. This is the way I see it in terms of how it's going to line up for the playoffs. Green Bay has the number 1 seed. They will not lose for the rest of the regular season, according to my results. Number 2, the same thing with Tampa Bay, but Green Bay has the edge because they'll finish with a better conference record. So Tampa Bay needs Green Bay to lose a game for Tampa to get the first seed. I think if Tampa gets the first seed, they're going to walk backwards to the Super Bowl. If Green Bay gets the first seed, Green Bay's chances go up exponentially. But I kind of believe it's going to be Tampa or Green Bay. The interesting thing will be if Green Bay loses. I feel like it will be interesting to see the results in the NFC West as well. I think the Cardinals probably still hang on to the division. But they're like that team that I feel like, depending on the matchup, might be tough on them in the first round. Dallas and the Rams would be a very good first round matchup. I think that would be a very good first round matchup. I'd quite honestly rather see I want to see the 49ers and Packers play, personally. I think that would be really cool. I got the Eagles as the 7 seed right now due to the schedule. It's a pretty easy schedule. I'm not sure if I'm right about that, but that 7 seed's really difficult. You also got to look out for the Vikings as well. All right, the next one, AFC. I got New England as the number 1. I just went on a rant about it. A soliloquy. So New England as the 1st seed. 7th seed, I've got the Bills getting into the playoffs. We said, will they make it? Will they won't? They will make it in at 10-7. Now, that would be a very interesting matchup in the first round. A lot of people thought this would be the AFC Championship. The Chiefs and the Bills. The Bills beat them earlier in the year, but the two teams have changed quite a bit since then. The thing about that matchup is the Chiefs aren't really able to bring out the Bills' biggest faults, which I think would mean it would be a pretty darn close game. 6 and the 3 seed would be the Titans and the Colts, which I feel like we've already seen twice because we have. But if the Titans enter kind of hurt, I think that would be interesting because the Colts are definitely a team that I feel like in the first round will be a tough out for anybody in the AFC. The 4 and the 5 seed, I've got Cleveland. I know it's stupid. I was shocked too. I think they stink, but yeah, I got them in, and it says it's 9-7, so I must have missed a game. But yeah, I have Cleveland in because I did this twice, and I've got Cleveland in, and basically because the Ravens play a tough schedule, they're gonna lose a couple games. I think I got them losing to the Packers. I got them losing to the Rams as well. And the Steelers, I just don't think are consistent enough. They play the Chiefs too, right? I think. And the Bengals have a shot. The Bengals have a shot to get in. It might come down to the last game of the year, the Bengals and the Browns, and depending on who wins that one will get in. The Browns kind of handled them in the first game, though. That is something I will say about that. Chargers, I think, will get the 5 seed, though. I'm pretty confident about that. I do see the Titans losing a couple of games at the end of this season, which moves them down a peg. And that's pretty much it. But those would be the best 7 teams. I would personally like to see the Bengals in over the Browns. The Browns are boring. And the Ravens, I think, stink. So I'd probably rather have the Bengals in there, but I don't know. Those are my 7 teams for the AFC right now. That will obviously change as there will be upsets. There will be a change in results. And maybe I'll have to keep updating this as we go along. But that's currently how I see it for the first time. I did it all year, the playoff machine. That's what I see. New England as the 1st seed. The way that it would work between New England and Kansas City, New England basically has to match the record of the Chiefs to get the 1st seed. So if New England wins every game, they get the 1st seed. If New England loses a game and the Chiefs win out, the Chiefs get it. If the Chiefs lose and the Patriots lose, so they both lose one game, the Patriots get it. So essentially, if New England matches the record of Kansas City, 2 losses, 1 loss, they'll get the 1st seed. If the Titans, right, the Titans could also get it. They just have a tougher schedule and are dealing with injuries. So that's the way I see it going down. We'll see at the end of the year. In terms of importance for the 1st seed on both conferences, I feel like Green Bay, most importantly, to get the 1st seed in the NFC. And I think for the AFC, I think would probably be... I think it would probably be the Chiefs. You know what? I don't know. Maybe it's New England. That's tough. I don't know. I feel like the Titans don't really have a great home field advantage. The Bills can't get it. I don't know. I feel like New England can travel and win too, and I feel like Kansas City can travel and win too. So, like, I do think, though, like, if Kansas City and New England were to play in the AFC Championship, the home team would definitely have some sort of advantage there. So it could mean a lot if those teams play, but at the same time, they could not play. I mean, one of them could be upset before that. So we'll see how it goes, guys. That is my playoff machine for Week 14. All right. There is your Week 14 NFL review. If you enjoyed, don't forget to spike that like button and subscribe for more BLV just like this. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow with the live NFL Power Rankings tomorrow night, and also that video I told you, the 5 Super Bowl contenders that I think can win the Super Bowl this year. The 5 teams. That video I'm going to be recording tomorrow as well. Thanks for watching. Peace.